So excited to have another welcoming episode of Success Nonetheless. This boss lady in front of us needs no introduction. Her name is Miss Sandra Rodriguez, the founder of Storytime Memory Diamonds, and she's also a very close friend of mine. So as soon as she started her business, I remember you talking about it, and instantly I was intrigued, because I know the stories and lives that you're touching through your business. So I had to have you on. So please welcome Miss Sandra Rodriguez. How are you?
Thank you. Well, I'm super excited to be here and see your beautiful face. It's always, the best. You're making my day today because, I mean, maybe your audience doesn't know. Yes, we've been friends for a long time now, but we get to see each other like maybe once every, what was the last time? 14 years? So
Yes.
this is great. Plus with your audience. So this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Look, they're already jumping in saying, who's Sandra? Look, tell us more about her. Okay. So they want to know who are you? A little bit about yourself, and then we can talk about the business as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this is Sandra or Sandy, like friends typically call me. I am a Tex-Mex, so I'm gonna apologize in advance because English is definitely not my first language; it's my second. So I was born in Texas, but I was raised by Mexican parents. They don't speak English at all, so they prioritized my education and they wanted me to go to private school. So I then moved to Mexico where they were able to afford it. So basically, my whole education life was there. But I'm great in Spanglish. So if something sounds like off, I'm so sorry about that. But I'll definitely try my best. So I am 36 years old. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been working, well, I've worked in the corporate world for quite a long time, like over, what about, like almost 10 years. I have a marketing background, so that's my bachelor's actually. I later on deep dive into the business innovation world with a master's degree in Mexico as well. I've lived in different cities, lived in the States, of course. Also worked for the corporate world in the States. So I feel like very welcome either in Mexico or in the US with all the particularities it has. I would say like my entrepreneurship feels like it came very like late in my life, but that could also be part of me pushing myself very hard. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was just like magical. I've been asking, the universe, the brain, everyone, any advisor that came across, like, when's the right time or what should I do? Because I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I'm surrounded by a family of entrepreneurs, businessmen, women. So I definitely wanted to be part of that. So that's kind of like overall me.
So, what was the moment in your life which you realized memories could be turned into something eternal? Well, no, I'm sorry. Let's back up.
Yeah.
So, I want to give you your flowers first and foremost. You had a very successful launch. So, talk about that. I want to pause because I want to commend you first and foremost because we all have ideas, and a lot of people don't take that first step, Sandy, of making it become real and talk about, the obstacles behind the scene. Because we saw the magical video, looks like we're in paradise, shine bright like a diamond. I mean, it just looked like $1 million event. And I just want to, how was that, putting the event together, and what was the response when you first did your launch back in November?
No sleep, going bankrupt, but it's part of the show. So I would say there's a lot of background before coming into this launch. And thank you for that. I'm glad it looked like $1 million launch, which was actually not. It was a lot of DIY videos and having the right people, actually family. My family helped me a lot. So I'm just grateful to have a great network in advance. So that would be advice number one. So whenever you feel like it is your time, rely on your first touch network, which is families and friends. So that's going to help a lot, and which in particular it helped me too. So Storytime Memory Diamonds came actually from a family tragedy, I'd say. So as weird as it sounds, it that was the main background. But there was a point in life where I learned that I had to grow, like mentally, emotionally. So when I invested in that, I understood that it was way best not to start or to be an entrepreneur before that, because that's where I was able to connect the dots between this try to even change that. Why did this have to happen to me? But more into what am I going to do about that situation? And how can I transform that into a more positive, thing for me? And it's weird. Are you guys all ready to hear how this connected and what happened?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty dramatic, but it's not much. So I think I was 18 for the first time with regarding your first question that I heard that we can turn ashes into diamonds. And I remember being so like blown away about that. I didn't act on it, but I knew, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, that's the way I want to, honor my life. But that's about it. Later on, and I would say like starting like late 2019, there were like 4 consecutive years where we have family losses, but very close family members. Both my parents were diagnosed with cancer with 6 months of difference. So it started to like my life to feel like I'm too close to death, but I don't understand why. And I felt like I was being punished instead of like I'm a good person. I work hard. Like I help people as much as I can. Like why is this happening to me? And then within those losses, one of the one that hit me the most and actually made story time happen was my grandma's. My grandma passing away. She and I shared a name, so everyone calls me Sandy, but actually my first name, very Latin American, of course, it's Eva. And that was my grandmother's first name too. So, and to honor her, both my parents decided to call me Eva Sandra because they wanted Sandra, but Eva had to, be there somehow, even though it doesn't.
Right. I saw it in your email. I'm like, who the heck is you said Eva? I'm like, who the heck is Eva? You mean Sandy? Who's this person? That's good to know to get a background.
Correct. Now you know the background of my email too, and how important Eva is now for the brand as well. So she owned a beautiful gold signet ring full of diamonds, and she always said that whenever she passes, I was the one who was going to hear the ring because no one else had the same initial letter in their names, and of course I was kind of like, the popular in the family.
Don't tell nobody. Shh.
I know. At least my grandma, it was the sweetest grandma to me. So when she passed, that ring disappeared. Everyone in the family knew that ring belonged to me, at least, moral wise. Yes, a lot happens. And that's part of growing. And that's part of learning that bad things are going to happen when, decisive people and family members go away very quickly. Like that was like a shocker. So after my grandma passed, the exact same year my godfather did, and that was like after those events, both my parents were diagnosed. So I was very angry, Kat. I was super mad at the world, at life, with God, and geez, like now I'm embarrassed to say that, but that actually happened. So when I hit that point in life, like that was like a breaking point for me, at least emotionally. But then it was, like that one of the last funeral from family members that I have attended. It was actually in Texas, and I remember walking out, like being like emotionally exhausted. But then I somehow, I don't know, felt like turning around, and I got to see all of these like new modern urns for you, ash urns in the wall, but also the funerary home had like a poster of a body in a fetal position growing into a tree, because that's like another way to leave this world if you don't want to be incinerated. And I remember saying, that's cool, but that poster's too disturbing to me. Like, not for me. The tree is beautiful.
Right.
And then that's when it hit. It was like, I think turning into a diamond, it's even more beautiful. And then I was actually staying at my grandma's house, my past grandma's, before attending the funeral. And I was like, whoa, like this is where everything is connected. Like when I was 18, I said, I want to be a diamond someday, but I want her to be a diamond, and I'm gonna recreate that ring that got lost But the special element to that is going to be that my grandma's ashes are going to be part of a beautiful diamond that is going to go into that ring that I'm going to recreate. And I'm wearing it right now, actually. I'm not sure if it's going to show, but
Oh yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
it's the letter E.
Oh,
And
I didn't even see that. Oh wow.
yeah, that's the E, just like her signet ring. But that big, beautiful diamond, it's a 0.4 carat one. That's my
Mm,
grandma's.
that's gorgeous.
Yeah. So when I got to live like the whole experience about researching where, with who am I gonna, create this diamond with, and how I'm gonna be able to send like, the ashes and what's next and what's the cost and what's a carat and what's a diamond cut, what color, what do you mean, like aren't all the diamonds supposed to be colorless because that's the best thing to have. Like I got to learn a lot in that process, but I also perceived some um, parts to be a little painful or shocking, in my case at least, because I had to literally grab a spoon and a food weight, like the one you get on Amazon, when you're counting your calories and stuff, and make sure that I got 100 grams of my grandma's ashes. Of
Mm.
course, after talking to all of my mom, her siblings, because they were 8 in total, and to see if everyone was okay with it, because that could be very sensitive, of course.
Yeah.
So I learned that part. Ashes, very sensitive. Two, everyone gets to have a voice in this decision. Three, looking at the ashes, like outside of the urn, grab a spoon and just like being manipulated. It was just too shocking for me. But I had to do it because I had this beautiful intention of recreating that ring, and that more than the ring, the material part was our desire to have that connection, like my grandma and I. And that's how it actually happened. And when I learned that the process could be a little painful, I was like, okay, I think I was like mentally and emotionally ready to do this.
Mm.
Now I would love to help people to get this connection with the family member or even the pets they lost, like anyone who they love the most, just like I did with my grandma, and I know she loved me a lot. I want for them to have that without the pains of the process. And I actually learned that I was actually not doing the right thing about sending ashes overseas. Like I was supposed to travel over there. Like I learned a lot.
Oh
It cost me tons of tears, sweat, and money, of course, learning
yeah.
from my mistakes. So I apologize for doing that. But that's actually how it happened. So entrepreneurs out there, if you're seeking your chance, just be open to make mistakes. It's gonna cost money, yes. So try to find your way. Look for a psychic, like a little extra, but save that money for the mistakes that for sure you're gonna make and that you're gonna learn from them.
Wow, I like that. And I think too, people don't talk about that enough. Like we have an idea, we have a budget in mind, what it's going to cost, and the dream, the goal, the vision is like up here. You're like, okay, I just spent my budget, right? Like I don't want to spend no more money, even though I really, really want this thing. So I'm glad you're touching on, very important parts of entrepreneurship, but also people just creatives, right? Because a lot of times,
Mhm.
a lot of people are creative, Sandy, and they don't think about the money piece, which is real, right? Nobody, we all
So,
want to do the right thing, but this isn't a charity case. Like everybody,
right.
we do want to be, and we live on an economic planet. So the money has to
Mhm.
come some way, somehow, even if it's a nonprofit, you don't have those resources coming in, your vision and all that stuff is going to slowly,
Mhm.
wither away.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the name Storytime, and what does it symbolize for you?
Storytime memory. I love the name. So basically, just showing that we all have a story to share, like more than a diamond or the piece of jewelry that it's gonna become. Because I prefer the diamond, but the client gets to choose whether if they want to go with the jeweler or whoever they trust the most to turn that into like a bracelet or a necklace like around here or a ring or whatever it symbolizes or resembles your story best. um I mean, aside from that, the story is what you're gonna hold the most. It sounds like super, like cheesy, but it's truth. Like when you decide to jump into the memory diamond world, is because you truly have that connection and you truly believe in love And this is just another way to love. Love is just transforming. It doesn't end when your beloved one passes away. So that's basically the main reason for a story time. And obviously it's also very catchy because we're all aware we hear story time of blah 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 blah, blah on TikTok. So it actually just, ring the bell. I was having breakfast with my boyfriend, and I had like this full list of like over 30 different names with semantics, and just, like this template, this marketing template that was super super complicated. At the end of the day, I just dropped it all off, felt, like relaxed, confident, and all of a sudden it hit. He was actually, my boyfriend, scrolling on TikTok, and that's it. It's a story
Wow.
time.
Wow. Wow. I just want to get into the cream and white vibes. This was not planned, you guys.
I
When we
know.
got on, I was like, "You're wearing white. Mine is cream. We're both wearing the same color, so we're in alignment, you guys." We knew the vibe. I'm like, "Okay, diamond, white," because I was like, "Okay, do I wear silver? Like, what do I wear?" So I'm glad we're like on the same white cream vibes for story time diamonds.
Mhm.
So,
I
um,
love it.
so what's one business principle that helped you, like, guided you through this business from day one?
That's a great question. So I would say the business principle is to be very transparent. And I mean, business is important, but caring what people have to say is even more important. So staying true to that, it's just like a basic for me. To give you an example, we can create diamonds from 0.25 carats all the way through to probably 2.5 carats, because we want to stay within the highest quality range possible. Um, but when people are choosing a diamond, we typically go with the more the merrier, right? Like the bigger the better. And it's better for business, of course, because it's more expensive, because it requires more man hours and all of that. However, if your story can be like, as I said, like resembled or transformed into a ring, just like my grandma's example, with the letter E because of her first name. A bigger diamond would totally lose like the shape of the E. So it
Yeah.
worked for me best like a smaller size. For some other people, it's just like, I don't have truly like something I can remember the most, but I want just like a big diamond. That's perfect. But my business principle is to listen to the customer first and all the way. If they allow me, I would ask questions to deep dive into that, and I also help them like with the creative side of how it would be best to put or where to put that diamond with. And I don't care if it's a smaller one or a color that, or even a cut that it's not, like the highest price point for me.
Okay. So how do you want people to feel, when they first, well, tell us, how have people felt, when they first through the process, they scoop up the ash. I had to say it like that. They get the ashes. They get the ashes, and then send them to your company, and then you guys do your thing, and then they get this lovely package back. How have people felt, once they put on that ring or that bracelet or that necklace? How have people felt after that part?
Okay, so I'm gonna divide my answer in two, and I'm gonna be very honest. After they hear my personal story on the ashes, and when I share that what I am providing now, or what it's different from or innovative from my business, is that you don't necessarily need to do it with ashes. You can do it with hair. You can do it with a blouse, a skirt, with shoes, anything that can, any material where we can extract a carbon or enough carbon to turn that into carbon ashes and then into graphite that's going to be feeding a diamond seed. We can do that. So right now, when they actually hear there's like an alternative to ashes, they feel really just like, oh, that's great, because I was gonna get into trouble, or I didn't feel like that was like the right thing to do. Especially in Latin America, where we're very religious, or my Hispanics in the States as well. They don't feel like that's like the best option. Right now, I haven't had a diamond created from ashes apart from mine with story time. But they actually go more like with PJs, or yeah, like a blouse, or even hair. So that's just something that I wanted to point out. And maybe that's another principle, like innovation and giving alternatives to your customers. It's also like a basic to consider. So what do they feel? Yes, they feel kind of sometimes anxious with the ashes part, but relieved with the rest of the options. Uh, but the truly great part, I think it's one when we are thinking around the creative part of their piece of jewelry, like how where is that diamond gonna land? That's also something like that inspires them and connects them more to the good memories. When they see the diamond, I know it's tears of joy because it's not the same emotion you get like when you maybe go to the graveyard or when you see like the ashes urn. um, it's not the same as when you look at a shiny diamond. And actually, that science can explain that actually, because in the process of creating my business, I was also fearing like, could this be too, I don't know, posh? Like, why a diamond? Like I'm not trying to play with or get money from grief. But when I did my research, like I know there's something, but I don't know why exactly. So I found very interesting papers. One about how memory objects help transition when we are going through such pain of losing someone. But number two, like, why are we naturally wired to shiny things as humans?
Mhm.
And that is because whenever we see a diamond, our the brain areas that lit up in that research were exactly the same as when people were staring at shiny stars or the moon or the sun playing with the water. So we get this primitive sense of security because we know that what is about and we know nature is there for us. So when you connect those dots between having a memory diamond that it's gonna help you connect with that person that is not with you anymore, but you still feel that need of connecting somehow,
Yeah.
at least you get the part of feeling a bit more maybe grateful for those memories and honor that person or that pet that was with you and share that huge love with you instead of seeing other objects that automatically give you this kind of like wanting to cry feeling.
Yeah.
So that's what I truly love the most about this business, and that I was able to put into words all of the emotions that I felt personally and from my personal experience down to my customers.
Wow. Now I want to ask you, I know we talked about the nice, lovely side. I want to talk about the more unpopular side. And
Mhm.
how did you deal with, I'm sure this has happened to you. If not, it's coming. So I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, especially young women, and trying to start their own business, and the fact that you're on the higher end side of business. A lot of times people start business, they're not thinking about creating helping people with grief, but through diamonds, that end of the spectrum. So how did you deal with people when they didn't support you, or they say, Sandy, this is too high? And I'm sure you got, like, can you talk about that piece for a minute? I definitely don't want to skip over it. Like, I know you're a boss lady, but being human in those moments with people who may be close to you or whatnot. Can you talk about that for a second?
Oh, absolutely. And it's true. It's true. Um, Especially, I'm based up in Mexico most of the times. Like, I'm between the US and Mexico, but mostly in Mexico. So imagine that question and then adding the fact that the economic, socioeconomic level in Mexico is not the same as in the US or other first world countries. It was a challenge, but I was so ready for it. I'm like, bring it. I can prove you because I've lived and I've seen, like, I think if I have to narrow this into a brief answer, I would say I kept my eyes open, and that's how I made it.
Mm,
Because living in Mexico, like I said, we typically get to generalize things that we hear or that someone else said, but you have to prove it right or wrong first on your own.
true.
So I did my research, and of course, I naturally knew there were some key cities or key areas that do have the possibility to purchase such a product. like a diamond, and with the extra cost that requires to create a memory diamond and not just like a regular diamond. So I did that research just to make sure, okay, like the population that is able to afford this, it's this much, and they live in this key three cities in Mexico, blah, blah. But then if I go to the States, it's a broader audience, but they behave like this, and that. So I had those numbers ready. When I started doing my research on who was going to be like the vendor to go to first for my personal diamond, I also like asked some questions because I noticed that when they heard like, yeah, I'm in Mexico, it's like, oh, yeah, they were skeptical. Like, is this a scam? Well, I don't want to throw you off, but the cost is this. And I'm like, you're not throwing me off. I was ready for
Right.
this. I didn't know what was the cost, but thanks for sharing. And I was fortunate enough to, be cautious and save money to invest in this because I was pretty convinced. But also, I know my market. And another business principle now adding to this was like, how do you adapt to a market that has the emotional desire of such a product? Even more than other countries, like we are known to be very warm people in Latin America, and family is just like our main thing. It's like whatever grandma says or whatever mom and pop says and all of these. And when they're not with us anymore, we suffer a lot, honestly. But how can I help them pay for it? And installment payments was the right way. I truly like dedicated a lot of research into which were going to be, like the payment methods. If there was like any bank in specific that could help people, you know, having like a more, yeah, a better way to pay or what accommodates best for their budget, and being open and fearless of no interest. Like I'm gonna I put a lot of trust in my customers. I do my research first, and actually, I think it helps a lot that I haven't invested in this to go like super mega viral yet on purpose, because I love to have connections, and truly most of my customers right now came through recommendations or people who know me. And literally my questions are like, hey, how long do you know this person? Like, are we good to go with like no interest, no fees, like no strings attached almost? But obviously there's like a contract to protect myself and my business too,
Of course.
right? Like whenever you decide, you have the right to decide if you want to back off. But if I already take your spot or the lab is already working on it, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give you back like the full money or refund most of it. It's going to be like maybe, the least. And, playing with that, with timing. So yeah, like I kind of like adapted to the market, and this could be like the same situation in it for another person in another country, and I'm gonna be open, for them to have this, because I truly want like most of the people to be able to tell their story, their beautiful story through a memory diamond, if that's the best for them. But yeah, we are in times where we need to trust, connect, trust, and try to get implement the best options for our customers.
Oh, someone said, are you going to do pop-ups?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love traveling the world, so I had this launch, and I'm hoping to get invited to other cities. I already have an invitation in the southeast of Mexico, actually, the capital, Mexico City. But yeah, I mean, let's talk, and this is something that I
You have
really.
an invitation in DC too, again.
I'm so ready. I'm so ready. And I can bring all the stuff so you can see all the sizings, the cuts, and everything, try them on, because people love trying things on. So yeah, I'm super open to it.
Yeah. So what do you want people to feel? No, let me back up. What do
Mm-hmm.
you hope your legacy is going to be for Storytime Diamonds?
That's a beautiful question. So a mind shift. I truly believe we need a mind shift on the way we think about death, which honestly, it's something that we all have guaranteed. We're all going that path. And as crazy as it sounds, I think we should be as ready, maybe not as excited, but as ready as we are when we're having, we're planning our 40th, 50th birthday party. well, we're going to have an end, and we can think in advance that people are going to be left behind and that will suffer our, us passing away. But what if we get the chance to design a beautiful closure for both? And I truly want, like, my legacy with the brand is just like tell your whole story and don't wait until the very end. Just like you're planning your memory diamond, what if you think in advance? Maybe you want to become a diamond too, but you can get to think, okay, who is going to inherit it? How would you like that to be? And even your whole funeral process. Like, I've heard so many great stories with the funerary homes that I have like an alliance with, about like, yeah, like I want a video of me and I want to leave my last message, ask people not to cry, please do a party, and pop up champagne and stuff like that. In the past, I think even our grandparents would be like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up, or getting a
Right.
slap in the hand, like, don't touch that topic because you're maybe attracting it.
That's it.
That's my legacy. It's mind shift and just have beautiful moments, all around your life from beginning to end.
If someone felt like they're about to give up on life or business, what would you tell them today?
Well, if you're gonna give up on life, I mean, you can totally do it, but think at least 5 times why you're dropping that. And hopefully it's because you are more excited about another idea that it's gonna suit you best, that preferably it's gonna leave this world better than how you found it.
Okay. Okay. At what point did you realize this business was bigger than you?
Woof. When I started to hear my customers' stories.
Can you
When
talk about one for the pets? I know we got a lot of pet lovers and
Oh
pet parents like
yeah.
myself. Can we talk about the pets for a moment?
Oh my God, yes. So that's actually like the part of the business that's very interesting to me, because at least in Latin America, I don't think we're very ready. Like, there's not enough um, spaces where you can get your pet incinerated or have like a proper closure, like a small ceremony, and we all crave for that because we loved our pets the most. And then right now I get a lot of questions like, do I should I start saving the all of the hair that comes out from the brush for my beloved pet from when that moment comes? And I'm like, you totally can. I do it with my Shih Tzu. I do it for Bimba. So I'm starting to get ready in that sense. But yes, I get a lot of questions about the pets and if they don't have anything with them anymore because it was not part of the culture. Like, are we burying the pet, or is it going to stay at the vet? What do they do with them, like with the body? And it's just a shocking conversation. But some people were not ready to take those decisions. So those that they typically have ashes now, from what I've heard. They would love something with their hair, but they don't have it anymore. So ashes is a good option. But when they also have this feeling, just like with human ashes, but I'm not sure about ashes, I get to tell them, do you still have toys? Maybe photos. Maybe they had their fur bed. You still have it with you. We can extract DNA from there. Like, we can get the carbon, but also the cutest part is that with the amount of carbon that we extract, which is close to 3%, we try to at least guarantee you one atom of their DNA in the diamond. That we can never tell, like right now, in terms of dynamics, the physics doesn't go that far. Maybe someday science will, but it's, I mean, we can't guarantee the number of atoms, but it's just like amazing to me. Like, we can have literally a piece of it by some fabrics they used or whatsoever. So that's the chance with pets. The people want to start to get ready for that moment, but also we have alternatives for pets. We can do a mix. Yes, we can have some of their toys, their favorite toys, or maybe their collars or their leashes or whatever you still have left at home, because we typically tend to attach to something. We can transform that into something more eternal, like a diamond.
So what about the men? What do you suggest for them?
I I would say men, like human ashes, men, or men wanting their pets to turn into a memory diamond.
Both.
Both. Okay. So I would say most of the questions that I get for pets come from men.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
I would have thought it would have been a woman.
Nope.
Oh
You
wow.
would be surprised. You would be surprised. Men tend to think more into like the cost, of course, the price, but then they do mention like their partners. So my
Mm,
partner or my boyfriend, my girlfriend, or my husband, wife, I know they would love this. So even they kind of have second thoughts on price sometimes. They think of them and how their partner is going to be feeling, and they're like, no, yeah, I'm totally doing this. So, yeah, but men have actually the opportunity to also have happy diamonds. Because what I love about story time is not only nostalgic ones. I don't want to make you cry all day. Like,
yeah.
we also have happy moments or moments that we're really proud of and that we want them to feel eternal. Like maybe when you graduated and you probably had a tough time, you probably thought you would never made it through college for economic reasons or whatever reason it was. Having a baby, I think it's also like a stage in life that you know can feel like I'm proud that I survived all of the process of pregnancy
Right.
and feeling all bloated and all of that. But also engagement diamonds.
Mm,
Engagement diamonds are starting to be part of the questions, and
yes.
men tend to need more help in the creative part of, okay, what should I make that engagement diamond from? Another personal story is actually my boyfriend was one of those. And I was saving he gave me an orchid for my beautiful I love orchids for our first anniversary, and I was keeping it. But I didn't close the box well.
Oh no.
It turned into insect food. So we decided to do something like, with both of us. So we tried hair. So I have, thank God, a lot of hair. It doesn't look like it, but we had to collect 7 grams of hair in total. So he
Hmm.
went like, I'm not losing 3.5 grams. Like, I'm going to be bold. And I'm like,
Right.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I just need, a spare of you there so that I'm sure that I have both like your atoms and my atoms and, tell this beautiful love story. But I mean, it could be something else. Maybe couples have, their dream trip and you brought the souvenirs, but now you don't know what to do with the souvenirs anymore. Well,
Mm.
we can turn even paper, like postcards, whatever, that was meaningful for the couple into an engagement diamond as well. So that's
Wow. I'm glad you touched about the engagement because that's a huge market. Around this time,
Mhm.
everybody's getting married or thinking about it or going to a wedding. So that's very interesting. So what's the message today that you want people to walk away with when it comes to loss and preserving memory?
Oof. So I would say give yourself the chance to honor your beloved ones. And I can assure you, you will find the sense of the light at the end of the tunnel. You will find some happiness. You will smile again. If you're going through, grief, a very tough process, which, I mean, it can happen, and it's totally valid to feel all of that. But I really want you to smile again and giving yourself a chance to look into other options because there are other options out there, like my brand or maybe another kind of memory object. Go pursue it, give yourself a chance, but think about the way you can honor your beloved one, and that process will take you to feel better again in when you wake up or when you're about to go to bed. But yeah, focus on that, and I assure you, like honoring and creativity will do the work for you.
Wow, wow.
Mhm.
So coming up next, we got to get the DC date back on the map so we can have you live, showcasing the product and walking people through the process. I think it's very instrumental what you're doing, helping people through that process. Because I mean, even me, like I'm still grieving, over my uncle, and just to know that I have other options. Because I don't know about everybody else, but like I'm super clumsy. So like the whole ashes thing, I'm like, okay, they're gonna come get me, or either I'm gonna drop it on the ground and like my dog's gonna eat it, or like I'm gonna like slip on it. Like I don't like, so that's good to know that we have other options to still honor and, like
Mhm.
you said, have some type of closure, because unfortunately, we all think we're going to get a proper goodbye. And unfortunately, that has happened to me several times where I haven't had the proper goodbye. So that's good to know that people can have, like you said, some type of decent closure when it comes to honoring, their loved one or loved pets. So that's a good option to have. And then also, before we wrap up, I want to be an example that friends do support friends. Okay, I had to have her on. I'm just not gonna have anybody on. You guys know that. But no, I really take my hats off to you, Sandy. This is tremendous. Like I said, we had this conversation. Sandy's a very close friend of mine. Part of my wedding crew, came up hands down from Mexico. I remember us crying in Walgreens. But no, truly,
I love it.
Truly a boss lady, like success at the less. When I think about it, I'm thinking about some amazing people. I say, you know what? I gotta have her on. I'm wait for her moment. And then, do you have any upcoming, events or projects that people should be looking up for?
Well, not at the moment because I am focusing on traveling on where I get most of the calls. So if there's like a particular city where I've had most questions from, I plan to travel, take my stuff over there. Of course, I can't travel with diamonds like anywhere around just because of safety and also because there's some legal things that we have to take care of and it can cost more time or money. But that's the way I'm building it now because I'm going to tell you, this is like a one-person business right now. Well, I mean, apart from my lab, which they're absolutely great and their due diligence was like close to perfect, super transparent. But I would say this, like whoever is hearing this and they feel related and they would like to experience and get their memory diamond, we are so open and transparent that we can plan a trip to Germany where the lab is. And you can get to stay there for 10 days in the nearest hotel to the lab. I would suggest like closer to the end of the process so that you can go there and be the one who takes out the rough diamond from the HPHT thing in the lab. And that's a great process. So that's sort of like what we're pushing. We're working more on the wording, giving you ideas, creativity. I do have some propositions with jewelers to give some like workshops, like how to sketch your ring, your bracelet, your collar, your earrings, or whatever you'd like. So we have that. Most of them have been in Mexico. I had one from Costa Rica, so let's see how Costa Rica does. But I'm more than confident that in the US that's going to happen too. I have one in Brownsville, Texas, actually, the SpaceX area is interested. But again, if you're interested, let your people know, get your group together, and I'll plan and travel to see you so you can get to see it up front and you can get to know me, and if something happens, where you're gonna call and ask.
They don't call me. They're gonna be like, "Where is Sandy?" Or they're gonna thank me, and I'm gonna tell them, "Hey, don't forget about the little people."
Oh, absolutely no little people here. I can tell.
Wow. So let people know, your Instagram, where people can follow you on social media, and then also your website.
Absolutely. Well, website's storytimediamonds.com. You can find everything there. We're still working on the English language. I promise I'm going to try to be as fast as possible. It's just, I've been through too much personal wise.
I'm like searching. It's so funny. Not to cut you off. It's so funny because we had this conversation. I said, I'm going to do better with Spanish. I haven't had time. But I'm like looking through your videos and I'm like looking at Google Translate, my AI. I'm like, okay, it's too hard for me to translate this to English. So I'm going to leave it up on here. And it still did, the promo still did well. But yes, please, in English.
Oh my God, yes. And I have some videos now with English captions, I promise. They're going to be out there soon. I had it for the launch, actually. So I should do a better job with social media, sharing that in English. For sure, we'll do that. But you can follow us on Instagram, storytime.diamonds, and TikTok, it's storytime.memorydiamonds. Where else? And yeah, I mean, if you want to reach out on WhatsApp, we're Facebook Storytime Memory Diamonds. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today. This was amazing. And I like I said, I really take my hat off to you for making grief a more pleasant experience. because it's always this daunting thing. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you touched on, because I think we all kind of go through the foolishness, and just to know that people, because that's a very common thing, right? When people die, unfortunately, everybody, they want to put their hands and teeth on things that don't belong to them, and to know that people have another chance to honor that through Storytime Diamonds, something that we shouldn't take lightly. And then to have the experience of going to Germany. So you guys know she does everything first class. That's why I had to have her on. We're not going to go to anybody else but Storytime Diamonds, or the whole 9 yards. She's rolling out the red carpet, you guys. So definitely you guys want to take advantage. You guys see she's very hands-on. She knows her stuff. And I like the fact that she's very big on design. You guys see how lovely she's dressed. It's going to be an amazing, amazing experience. So definitely want to encourage you guys to go to the website, support them, and also share it with a friend and family. Maybe they're going through something, or maybe, maybe it's the plan in the future. So I'm glad you touched on all those points, and I see nothing but great things for you.
Oh, thank you. Same for you, my lovely cat. Love you so much. Thank you so much for the support. And if any further questions are here in the comment section, I don't get to see them, please reach out to me, to Kat, and Kat will let me know.
When are you coming to DC?
When are we coming to DC? Let's check on the flights, girl. Let's check on the flights.
I know, right? The block is hot right now, but
I've heard.
The clown is in town. So once the clown calms down a little bit, we'll definitely schedule that. But I definitely want it to be an interactive experience, and we'll link up and figure out a way that works best, for your brand and your business, that people can, it can still be interactive with or without the diamonds. And I think that'll be really cool.
Oh, I would love that. Yes, let's plan on it. I like that for 2026. Yes.
Okay. Well, take care. See you.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye, y'all.